Alright, welcome back to the Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Lost Non-Classics episode number... Well, it's part 2 of the previous video. That's basically what it is. So, we are talking about this. I was going to start talking about this, but I had to stop because basically I had to go out for dinner, obviously. So, yeah, this is the Kendra Saunders Hawkgirl. Yes, the one that showed up during Dark Knight's Metal. This is actually... That book basically brought her back into continuity after the character had virtually disappeared. This version of the character in 2011 brought back. I think it was like 2019. I think it actually was 2018. I think it was. Yes, brought back there. Became part of Justice League, but by the way, the book is called Once Upon a Galaxy, collecting the entire 6 issues of the second volume of Hawkgirl. She did have a first volume that didn't sell very well. And I will be discussing in the future. That's why I'm discussing it here, so I'll discuss it later on. So, the book is written by Jadzia Axelrod. That's the name of the writer here. With artwork by Amanka Clay Nalpin. That's your artist, who also does the cover, and Andreo Lucas does also the cover art too. Now, mostly put, this is basically what Hawkgirl was up to after they're just like disbanded. Thanks, of course, to Dark Crisis. This happened in, I believe, 2021, I believe it was. I think. Yeah, I think it was like 2021, 2022. It's been a couple years, so they're just like are back. Because it's like a limited coming really soon by Mark Waid. So, yeah, basically... Yes, the writer herself, whoever this person is, I don't know who this person is. Prior to seeing this writer, I've never heard of this writer before. And it's like, okay, let's give, I guess DC probably felt this though, hey, why don't we get this nameless writer this writer who no one's ever heard before, let's give her a chance to write Hawkgirl. Now, Hawkgirl herself is not the big of a character that's in the comics. I mean, when you think of DC Comics, you think of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Supergirl, Superboy, Aquaman. Basically, any part of the Justice League or some people with the Teen Titans. Hawkgirl is more like a character that only hardcore comic fans know. Now, this version of the character was created by James Robinson. And can you believe this woman's been around since 1999? Yes, 25 years. An American character created by a guy who's British. Nothing used about that. You probably thinking, like, did he ever put anything in your dialogue that's British slang? No. No, he never did. James Robinson never, ever put anything British in any of his books that he wrote. He just basically wrote awesome books. The only book of his that he's ever written that a lot of people were not fans of was Cry for Justice. I can kind of agree with the opinion on that, but he's not a terrible writer. He doesn't write this, surprisingly, because you would think Kendra Saunders Hawkgirl, a character he created. Write a solo book for her. Nope, don't contact James Robinson, a guy who has virtually disappeared from comics. Last book he worked on was Wonder Woman. Yes, seriously. When he came back to DC after a 3-year stint at Marvel, that wasn't successful for him, and it's not entirely his fault. It's just that his books didn't sell very well. And that's not his fault. It's Marvel's thing of putting too many books on the shelves. He came back to DC. What did he do? He had run for the Death Comics, run for Wonder Woman, I think he wrote a miniseries, and that's been it for him. Yep. So, basically you would think, oh, like because the writer, of course, the book itself is basically focuses on, you have this new character introduced, you have all these other stuff, and you have her fighting bad guys with the Justice, with Superman and Black Canary and Metropolis. Oh yeah, and also Power Girl's here too. It's her having fun, her wings get broken, and then we're introduced to a female alien who basically hangs out with her the whole book. And this one alien woman, they later revealed this woman is actually a lesbian. She has a girlfriend who stays with Hawkgirl. And then we have her. Looks like she's me, a friend of hers. No, not her lesbian girlfriend. Like, some people tend to think some writers nowadays would just out characters as gay or bisexual. Hawkgirl is still straight in this book. She's not into ladies at all. Now, basically, the one thing that's bothering about this book is, oh, they even have reference to Black Lives Matter here, which I'm sure my friend Crimson probably would not like that very much because, well, it's just protesting. So, basically, just hang out with a friend, and then, of course, deal with this woman named Marlene. And then Batman shows up. I like how he's drawn here. It looks really good. I like this artwork for Batman. Do I think this artist should work on Batman comics? Yes, definitely. So yeah, then we see basically this woman's girlfriend, who's at A-Town, 64 Pollock Street. Now, I'm sure this street is named after the late comic book writer Rachel Pollock, who, from what I've heard, was a transgender writer, and I believe she's sadly since passed away. And despite her being transgender, she didn't exactly force any politics into comics. She only wrote like one comic I could think of. She had a really interesting run for Doom Patrol. And I do appreciate the writer probably had a lot of respect for Rachel Pollock, decided to name a road after her, Metropolis. Now, I gotta give praise for this because if you think about it, Metropolis has never had any roads I could think of named after comic writers. Guess which basically road, guess what city is known for having stuff named after famous creators? Gotham City. They love doing this. There's Bob Kane Avenue. There's the Kane Avenue, which is basically the road to Wayne Tower. There's also a road named after Bill Finger. But all that started with strength operations, but 64 Pollock Street. Now, 64, I believe that's the Easter egg for, I believe it was the very first issue of Doom Patrol she ever wrote for the book before the book got canceled, issue 81. Her run was not very long, like 17 issues, and I do appreciate the writer basically acknowledging her. And of course, Hawker gets her wings back by the end of the first issue. Yes. Now, if I ever get a chance to meet this writer, I will ask her this. Is 64 Pollock Street named after Rachel Pollock? I'm sure it probably is. So we have these two guys getting drunk, and of course, basically have various monsters. Yeah, this alien, it doesn't really, and of course, then we have Hawkgirl seeing images of her past selves. Yes. Now, this is perfectly fine. Yes, Hawkgirl's always been tormented by her past selves. A little bit more than, let's say, Hawkman is. Hawkman's more embracing of the whole thing. Kendra Saunders, the way she's written here, and because I've read previous books she's featured in, this is consistent how she's normally written. Where she's very hesitant to get forward with the legacy of the Hawkgirl legacy. Yeah, she is Hawkgirl, but the whole reincarnation thing, that's the one thing she's always been hesitant with. And we see her with, looks like Cinnamon. That's her in the chair with the Egyptian priestess, who I believe was the original one. There's even an image in here of the Shira Thal Hawkgirl in here, who was later added part of the whole reincarnation thing. And the whole thing, this book, despite having this other girl here, I mean, also one thing about this artist, she likes drawing Chandra with a six-pack. Like, I get the fact she's muscular, but wow, it's like, oh yeah, then we have the scene where she's taking a shower. No scene nudity. Yeah, she's basically still tormented by her past selves. And look, here's the there's the Shira Thal Hawkgirl from the Hawk Worlds book. Yes, that's who that is. And I do appreciate this. It's like, yeah, she's tormented by it. We have this villain. We have her basically acting in character. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then in issue 3, she goes to Gotham City. And I love how these transitions, I love, the way it is, this afternoon when they put it above the building. I think that's really cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. Fräulein Candor. Now, is that name after somebody? I highly doubt it. I do appreciate Gotham City having a GCPD blimp, which of course they have blimps. And of course she's paying a visit, and of course she's like, "Who are you? I'm Batman." Yeah, this is so funny. And of course she pays a visit to Batman in the Batcave, and then with this funny thing, it's like, oh yeah, and there's also this dog, this corgi who flies, and you have interacting with Ace the Bat Hound, and Batman's super serious. Some of this Diaz person, and of course they go out and fight. It's a great team up issue with them, and of course fighting a giant owl. I'm like, yeah, this book is a lot of fun. Aside from the alien girl, this book is just really, I enjoyed this book. Am I bothered by some of the stuff in here? Not really, no. Yeah, basically, and I'm not a fan of the t-shirt this one girl wears, where it just says, "Dyke, Dyke, 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 Dyke." I'm like, why the heck, basically, did the artist think it was necessary to have a shirt that says that? And then having Kanjo wear this shirt that says, "No one likes us, we don't care." I'm like, why? And then we have her fighting a dragon. Yes. We see Hawkgirl put in her attire, and she's working with Supergirl, a character who I think should have a book now. Which, her not having a book is a complete mystery. It's like, yeah, we have her fighting a dragon, fighting a team with Natasha Steels, aka Steel. Natasha Irons, yes. And we see her with a sword. It is just so fun. Yeah, and take care of the dragon. And then we come back to St. Augustine. Of course, this woman who's we have Hawkgirl dealing with her. Oh yeah, and there's even, get this, a version of her as a Black Lantern zombie. Yes. And then her when she put the Challenge Unknown, and then the stuff with Dark Knight's Metal. I do appreciate including that in here. And then it says, "I said let go, Nosferatu." And then basically have her 3 years ago in St. Rock. Those of you not remembering this particular town, this is the town that James Robinson and Jeff Johns had her and Hawkman based out of during the longest volume of Hawkman to date, the one that lasted 49 issues. Which was started by them and taken over by Jen Palmer and Justin Gray, which I've since asked Jen Palmiani why the run ended after just basically about, I think it was like about 24 issues. They just want to replace it for no reason. He said the book actually is doing really well under them, and they just placed it for no reason. The book got canceled not long after that. So, yeah. Yeah, the whole virtual thing, and then eventually, we're getting close to the very end here. So, we do this other stuff here. Oh yeah, and the whole thing with Galaxy is just, that's the name of the girl who appears in the book, who is the one who's a lesbian, and no, Kendra's not a lesbian. You see her put on some extra, like, stuff on her, like armbands and pouches. And then you see her flying. Then she's got 2 Hawkgirl helmets. One is damaged, one is not. And then she's basically back in Metropolis, where she's living with Galaxy's girlfriend, and Marlene, who's not reformed. And then you have Kendra putting on a dress with these shoes. And of course, basically, like, in the beginnings of Friends, and that's pretty much it. I gotta admit, this actually was a pretty good book. Do I think it needed to be ongoing? Not necessarily, but I thought the book was really good. I didn't think any issue was bad. The only thing I probably wasn't a really big fan of was the one scene of the obvious shirt that Galaxy's girlfriend was wearing, where it said "Dyke, Dyke, Dyke." I didn't like that. I think the shirt that she wore and Kendra wore one scene probably was not necessary, and also Why the heck did the writer think it was good to reference Black Lives Matter, one of the most controversial movements in recent memory? I say controversial because the thing I don't like about, I have nothing against them protesting at the time. One thing I don't like about the organization was a connection to violence, or people associated with them basically destroyed a lot of stuff, a lot of public property. And here's the weird thing. I never heard any of these people being arrested for like ransacking a Target, burning down a city hall, like blowing up a Dick's Sporting Goods. Yes, seriously. Destroying statues. All due to one incident in Minnesota. And all happened in one of the worst years of recent memory. Yeah, people hate 2020 for a reason. Though I point out to people, it got bad halfway through March. Because first 2.5 months, actually it's not a bad period of time. Because everything seemed pretty normal until, well, everything got shut down. I explained to you about that. But the Hawkgirl Once Upon a Galaxy, so I refer to as Hawkgirl Volume 1. Despite I think it's only 6 issues of this book. I give this book a 8.5 out of 10. I would give it a 9 because I enjoy the story. But the only reason I take a half point off because that one scene of the shirts that are completely unnecessary to wear in this book. And plus, dyke is, well, the best way to describe it, it's a word that I have always heard to be very offensive to women. Yes, why in the world that... Because you know how stuff is nowadays, like anything anybody say, it's offensive to people. And yet for some reason, it's like, oh, let's just not do anything with the whole... Because the word dyke is associated with lesbianism. Well, yes, it's a slang for a lesbian. And for some people, it was offensive. And apparently nowadays, it's not offensive. Which to me makes no sense. Because the word isn't very offensive. I've always heard it be offensive. As for why it's now accepted, I don't know. It's like some stuff I heard when I grew up was perfectly acceptable. And nowadays, it's considered offensive. And I'm like... How is this word offensive? Somebody might be thinking, well, there's some stuff basically, it's just so freaking stupid. Like, one I heard recently, apparently that Wendigo is considered racist. How? And I'm like, here's kind of the thing when it comes to Wendigo. When I think of Wendigo, I think of the creature from Marvel Comics. That's what I think of. Not what other people think that Wendigo stands for. I think of the white... I think of this mystic creature who basically where people transform into this creature, people from Canada. It's similar to the Sasquatch up there. That's what I think of when I think of Wendigo. Whatever I think Wendigo what Wendigo really is, it's not what I think of. Okay? Well, let's move on from that. So, that's pretty much it particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, turn on the like button. I might have time later for one more video with my stream, but who knows, okay? Next view. Bye.